had spent hours in the woods near their homes, staging the massacre over the course of several months. Following Columbine, as the new millennium unfolded, Americans have lived through more than 30 school shootings. Few of these have received extensive coverage in the media. But 2012 culminated in a new level of horror. The pre-Christmas massacre of 20 6- and 7-year-olds and 6 staff in their grade school classrooms at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, stirred us from a decade of ennui regarding violence among our children. Until Newtown, this millennium's discussion of violence in America was focused on concerns outside our country, war in Iraq or Afghanistan. But the slaughter of young children on our own turf generated an unprecedented level of anxiety. If we can't protect our children, the most vulnerable among us, who are we? We have known for a long time that the confluence of madmen and guns is disastrous. Following each of the major school shootings across the nation, the conversation about firearms and mental instability has filled the media, to the point that strangers passing in a grocery store exchange informal remarks on gun control as if they had all just exited a lecture on the topic. Harder to talk about is the madmen side of the equation. But this is where the real conversation needs to take place. Gun control is a critical issue, and we need to do all we can to employ adequate background checks in order to keep firearms out of the hands of children and emotionally unstable adults. But the common denominator we continue to overlook in these events is the pervasive question of why, and the central role of the human brain in the equation. How and why can a baby develop into a vicious killer? And what can we do about it? The person who answers this most succinctly is Dr. Bruce Perry, director of the Child Trauma Academy in Houston, who is frequently cited in the ensuing chapters. Perry claims, "It's not the finger that pulls the trigger, it's the brain. It's not the penis that rapes, it's the brain. Violence begins in the brain, and the brain begins in the womb." Ghosts from the Nursery explains how all behavior, prosocial or antisocial, is controlled by a physical organ, the brain. And we will elucidate how the brain is fundamentally built inside of relationships, beginning with the mother during gestation. If the caregiving relationship is inadequate or traumatic, especially during the first 1,000 days of life when the brain is chemically and structurally forming, the part of the brain that allows the baby to feel connected with another person can be lost or greatly impaired. A child may mature lacking the ability to attach or to relate in any profound way to others, rendering the child emotionally damaged. Absent adequate nurturing by an emotionally competent caregiver, the baby faces an unpredictable tide of unregulated emotions. To enable a baby to build this critical part of human function requires time and a quality of care that we continue to overlook in our discussions of why. We have yet to recognize that if a baby's experiences are pathological and are steeped in chronic fear, the very capacities that mitigate against violent behavior, including empathy and the capacity for self-regulation of strong emotions, can be lost. As these children grow into adolescence and adulthood, impulsive and aggressive behaviors are common outcomes across class and ethnic lines. Fundamentally, Ghosts from the Nursery argues that children who are attached and empathic with other people, who have learned from their caregivers how to modulate strong negative emotions and are primed to focus on complex problem-solving, are not attracted to aggression and violence or to using guns to hurt other people. It's time to make the connection. In this revised edition of Ghosts from the Nursery, we have updated all data, though we have not replaced most of the original research articles reported in the first edition, unless newer research contradicts the original outcomes of studies. When we found a major relevant addition to the research, We added brief updates in a section we call